Welcome to the Hollow Points Podcast. We are glad you decided to tune into another episode where we provide an aggressively therapeutic outlet on topics that many think about but are afraid to speak on. We actually made it to Season 4. This should be our best work yet, since we are finally off probation.
We always hear about the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But let's be real. Any garden worth walking through has more than one tree. So why don't we ever talk about the other trees in the Garden of Eden?
Welcome back to the Hollow Points Podcast. I want to thank all of my listeners for tuning in, listening to this foolishness. We got another hot topic for you today. I'm MOB, and you are?
I am Coach Chris P.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sometimes your
keep it
name
there.
changes, so I don't be knowing.
Yeah, it's the season. It's the season for it.
It's the season? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Coach, as they call you,
Yeah.
it seems like you have your own medical book.
Okay. Help me with
You
it.
be coming up with sicknesses, and I demand some definitions right
Okay.
now.
Okay. All right, give me what you got, and I'll give you the best diagnosis I can.
Do you know anyone who's eaten from the tree of the can't help it's? You know, I can't help it if I'm always late. I can't help it if I overreact. Yeah, that tree.
First and foremost, is this a case of the can't help it? Tell me what the hell this is.
Man,
Give me an example, I guess.
This been going on. This has been diagnosed. This has been going on since the 90s. And it is something that was sparked by a girl I was going to school with, ended up marrying her. And it's the simplest way to talk about people who can't get out their own way. They just can't help themselves. And when you break it down, I don't like it because I believe it absolves people of responsibility or accountability. When you say they just can't help themselves. No, they can help themselves. That's the problem. They're trying to help themselves to your piece. They're trying to help themselves to this food, to this bread, you know what I'm saying, to this
Right.
situation.
Yeah.
They infringing. But she was like, oh, don't even pay her no, never mind. She got a case that can't help us. She just can't help herself. And so anytime that I've exhausted all of the rationale behind why somebody's doing something, I have no choice but to fall back and diagnose them with the case that can't help us. Like at some point, I have to accept that you just don't know. Forgive them, for they don't know what they own and what they do. They just can't help it. So that is one.
Okay.
What about the tree of counting? Now, it's okay to eat from it in moderation, counting blessings, counting wins. But you better be careful, because the count too muches will have you comparing, competing, and scheduling everyone else's life on your clock.
Got it. Now, what is a case of the count too muches?
Man, in the idea of, and it's funny because we had did a show on this before about people being inappropriate accountants. And what it is that people don't take the totality of the equation into effect. They just talk about what's in it for them, the with them, what's in it for me. And so in the idea of I wanted this and I wanted that, and it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate counting. As you have wisely stated, there's a level of counting that is appropriate. In fact, you should take into account many different things. But when you start telling me what I should do with my day, or hey, are you off tomorrow? Good, then you can. Yeah, that's bad math. You don't schedule for me, like you said. Don't schedule for me.
Don't. Right.
So in the idea of too much counting, and that's such an expansive thing that we can go deeper on at one point in time. But I think that we've had so many instances where people have inappropriately said what we should be doing or what they would do. More importantly, this is really prevalent in the Black community. If I was you, anything that comes after that is too much counting. if unsolicited, and you come up and say, if I was her, if I was him, if I was you, if it was me, those are the marquee preambles for too much counting about to go on. That is because you don't know the whole situation, you don't know the whole story, you just know what you think you know, and you're about to make a concrete solution based off of limited information. That's bad math, and that's absolutely a case of the too much count.
And tell me, are people really still eating from the tree of delusion? Because, whoa, some of the fruit from that tree has folks living in alternate realities.
I don't know if this is too different, so you have
Okay.
to tell me.
Okay. Absolutely.
It's delusion. So it's self-delusion and world delusion.
No, I think it's different. I think because too much counting can be aspirational. You can want it for me. You can have dreams and desires of what I should be able to do based on your belief in me. Delusion is you're discarding everything that reality is showing you, everything that makes sense. I put something out today where I talk about writing things down.
Mhm.
Write down and repeat back to yourself what you just thought, what you just said, what you believe. And if it in text, if it looks the same or feels the same, then go forth. But a lot of times in our head, we put a lot of qualifiers and fill in gaps that shouldn't necessarily be filled in. We talked about women having conversations within their own mind, but between themselves and their spouse that their spouse never knew was going on. If I say this, he probably gonna say that. Then I'm gonna have to say this. Then he probably gonna try to, oh hell no. Now you done conjured up emotion and everything based off something that's never been tangible. So any idea of delusion, you can I'll give a great example, and I'm sure she won't mind this. We used to have a neighbor. We had a neighbor. She's my forever neighbor. And so what Tracy would do was sit on her porch, look at people, and people have done this as a game. It only gets dangerous when you start believing it and supplying it to other people as fact.
When it's no
But
longer a game.
it's no longer a game. Now it's real life. But
Mhm.
we've sat in restaurants and said, that couple right there. Okay, when he talk, I'm gonna tell you what he's saying. And then when she talk, you
Oh
tell
yeah,
me
yeah.
what she's
I've
saying.
done that.
That is absolutely great until you call the police on them for what you just thought they were saying to conspire to kill the restaurant. Oh, that's delusional. That's how
Okay.
delusion works. You've convinced yourself of something that none of the facts support. That is what delusion is. It's just like you've riled up your spirit to believe something that wasn't based on anything that was tangible. That is the essence of delusion. And a lot of people do that as it relates to being millionaires. Or I'm a do this and do that. Like, hey, by the end of the year, it's June. By the end of the year, I'm gonna have all my shit together and I'm gonna know exactly this, that, and the third. So you waited 41 years to go to the half of this year to get that all taken care of. You've had that ability this whole time and tricked it off. You know what I'm saying? That delusion of my ship is coming in. This next thing is, like I told my cousin, everything can't be a home run. Get your own base percentage up, bro. Get on base to be in scoring position, but you swinging for the fucking fences every time and striking out, and you like, I tried my hardest. That's not smart. Try your smartest. Try your smartest, and then we got something to work on. Delusion tells you the next time. I was just talking about a gambler's mentality. I'd have been to the casino a few times, and how they get the gamblers. This is what make a sucker. Because I'm learning how to play poker right now. I got my guy, he teaching me, and I'm understanding the reason why people lose at poker is because they don't fold enough. Got to know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. That song was so deep. Now that I'm playing, I
Uh-huh.
understand it. The delusion is 2 sevens came up in a cherry, and you needed 3 sevens for the jackpot. But because 2 sevens came up in a cherry, that means it's coming. That's not how that shit works.
Damn.
That is not. Nobody ever told you, hey, if 2 sevens show up, it's only 5 to 10 more spins before 3 sevens show up. Or 3 sevens will never show up if 2 sevens don't show up first. That is absolutely not the case. But we have convinced ourselves that if you get close enough, it's about to come around. It's about to happen. That is delusional based on the facts that have been presented to you. No, and if not, people laughing and shit while I'm saying this, it's never been somebody that said you have to have two before you can have 3 sevens. Or if you have 2 sevens, them other three is right around the corner. But in your mind, ooh, I was right there. Pull that thing, pull that thing. That's how they get a sucker. That's delusion that's making you think that that's a factual situation.
So
Wait a
part
second.
of
Before,
delusion is
hold on. I need to go to this too.
go ahead.
For the women out there, he has 5 kids that he never sees. He has no desire based on the facts to be a good father. But you think your stuff is so good with this one that you're pregnant with, he's going to be responsible for. You think you're the first one that said this one's going to be the magical baby that makes him the dad and the man that he needs to be?
That's 5 sevens in one pair.
I know chicks that's got kids with dudes that had kids that showed you He was not the type of dude you should be giving your greatest investment to. The greatest thing a mom ever did was have a kid. If you ask all of them, my greatest contribution to this world is this baby. You shared that investment with him when he showed you he was a bad businessman. He was a bad businessman. That is delusional as hell to think that your shit is so nice that it's going to change everything about how he operates. That's delusion for a woman. For a man, what is delusional is for you to think she's been the town bicycle all this year and everybody done had a ride. Everybody had a ride. But when you get in and show her some stability, she's told you, these dudes just didn't know how to treat me. They just didn't know. They know how to treat you long enough to stay in a relationship with you and procreate with you, but they didn't know how to treat you ultimately. You
Right.
allowed for all these things. And then you come into our situation with qualifications and standards when obviously none of these other dudes had standards they had to abide by. It's delusional for you to think you could turn her into a accomplished housewife. It has come too far. This is not
That's
the hill
another
you
old
want to die
saying
on. Yes,
that you
absolutely.
bringing up.
This is not the hill you want to
I
die on,
wanted
good
to say
brother.
it though.
Not good brother. Now, brother that's reformed, absolutely, y'all can reform together. Y'all can be in transition together. But you're established, stable, and ready, and that's what she's saying she demands, even though she's not. That's delusional to think you don't have none of your stuff together. You ask a good woman, are you where you want to be in life? No. Are you close to it? No. Give me a percentage. I'm probably like 30%. And I'm working on myself. Cool. You want a dude that's working on himself? Absolutely not. I need a dude. Sit there, pregnant pause. Absolutely not. I need a dude that's there that can like guide me and show me. And why is he looking for somebody that's a project?
Why? Yeah.
No, he want equally yoked. He wants somebody too that's had unfortunate relationships where they had all their shit together and it just didn't work out. And he was in a situation where it just didn't work out. And now y'all came together because that's what was supposed to happen. That's delusional to think you should be able to have something without giving something or being able to show your ability to sustain something. That's delusion as well. All right, we can go on. I'm off my box.
So I want to add some points. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you got it.
Also in delusion is everything is about you. So if you read something, it's all about you. But correct me if I'm wrong. Also delusional is nothing is about you. Nothing pertains to you.
there's
Are
a
both of those
balance.
true?
There is a balance of paranoia that exists where you think everybody's out to get you. It's the white man. It's society. It's the I don't.
It's two sides of the extreme.
It's two sides of the extreme. You got to have balance. You got to have balance. You
How you
don't
know I'm
want to.
like balance?
You don't want a woman that has too many girlfriends, and you don't want a woman that has no girlfriends.
Yeah.
She can't get along with no women. She done fell out with her sister, her aunties, like she's constantly falling out with people. She doesn't know how to regulate her emotions and have that type of investment, that type of commitment with somebody on her level, another woman.
Dang.
If she got too many friends, she has too many counsels. She has too many people that she cares about their opinion, and they're all over the place because no two people are alike, and she got too many ears at her disposal. She got too much. So there is a happy medium that you have to qualify and be invested in. Whenever I look at a bridal party and it's 11 people on this side and 11 people on that side, that ain't gonna work long term. It's just not. They got too many people that have invested not only in these bridesmaids dresses, but in what's going on in y'all situation.
I
Y'all
thought they
doing too
just
much.
had a lot of friends. Damn. Okay.
No, how can you sustain that many friends? You can have acquaintances and associates. Those are people that should be invited to be involved in the greatest day of your life as an adult.
That's unfortunate. Houdini said dictionary doesn't know the
Don't know the
meaning
meaning
of
of
friends.
friends. That's right. That's right.
Okay, I don't know where to go with this next one. But well, let me try to dang, you went two different directions, so I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go. Well, let's start with friends then.
Okay, cool.
Can you have too much a good thing? Maybe. Let's ask the tree of friends. Too much fruit there, and you might forget who you are without the crowd.
When you say people, this is one of your diagnoses now,
Yep.
that they're too friendly.
Yes. Yes.
Explain that. Too many friends?
People are inappropriate in their vulnerability as it relates to casting somebody in the role of friend. I tell my young daughters, you have acquaintances, associates, and then they graduate to friends. If you don't know their favorite color, their middle initial, where they was born. Like there's certain things that if they're your friends, then you're responsible to a degree for them and their spirituality. There, like you tell your friends, you give your friends financial advice, you give your friends marital advice, you give your friends spiritual advice. If you like, I don't know her like that, stop calling her your friend. You can't meet a friend on an airplane. I just met this is my friend Kathy. Okay, I like it. We just flew in together.
I
No,
agree with that.
that's your
1000%.
associate at best. Now, when y'all become better acquainted, these words mean something. When y'all become better acquainted, y'all can then get to friendship. But people
I
are
met a
giving away
dude.
friendship. Go ahead.
He went on a walk.
Uh-huh.
He just wanted to get out of the house, and he went on a walk. I
Right.
mean, he was like 14.
Yeah.
He came back to the house. He said, "Hey, I met a new friend when I was walking at the pond." I said, "No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. It's not possible.
There's no way you
It's
got. You
no
was gone for
way.
45 minutes."
There's no way. You gotta covet your friendship like you do if you're a woman, your virginity. It has to
Hey,
be something that somebody earns,
oh,
and that's yeah.
friendship is like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. If you got a kid and you want them to respect their temple, that's how your friendship should be operating. It can't be. It is funny because I got into a situation years ago where I had, and this is still to this day, I have people that are my oldest friends that are not my best friends. Seniority is not a qualifier for best. That's
I
just not
totally understand that.
that's not how that works. So in the idea of friends, be selective in your friends. You can have a lot of associates. You got people at work that you associate with. To say that they're your friends means that you can call them for money, a kidney, advice, different things like that. There has to be a certain level of whatever the case be. Another thing that I'll say here for free is you can't have two best. Like Ricky Bobby said, you can't have two number ones. That would be 11. In the idea of having a best friend, that person won. Now, if you want to change it or interchange them, that's on you. But my daughters are not allowed to have 4 best friends. You got 1 best friend and 2 or 3 good
You
friends.
can't change the dictionary.
You,
Best
you
means
can't.
best.
He's best. It does.
You can't.
And people will fight you over that, though. They will, man,
Yeah.
they want,
I've been argued with over
woo,
that, but there's no way.
woo. Yeah, absolutely. So, but like you said, who did he said? A friend is somebody you judge for yourself. Some are okay and they treat you real cool. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's a timeless song.
Then there's the superhero tree, also known as the tree of people-pleasing. Everybody else gets saved while you stay stuck.
This next sickness is a people pleaser / superhero, fake superhero or whatever.
If it's a fake superhero,
What's a real
because
superhero?
yeah,
People pleaser?
yes, because the idea of the inherent psychology of pleasing people is it has an effect on pleasing or soothing yourself. So there's a level of selfishness in people pleasing that
Okay.
occurs, that it makes you
I thought
feel
so.
better about you or your participation with that person or whatever. And so when you feel down, you feel like, let's say this, it's been times where you've pleased someone, but they didn't give you the reaction that you thought. And so therefore you felt bad. They was good. They was like, thank you. I appreciate it, but it wasn't, oh my God. Oh, that I would have never thought to do because it wasn't as blown out as you like. You feel like you've missed the mark and you weren't
But
pleased because it
but
was
you
about
don't
you.
know. They've been saved from a burning building before.
They-
Why keep getting excited?
because it reminds me of a woman that said she stopped fooling with a dude because he had took her to a fancy restaurant. I was like, "What you think?" He just kept bringing it up, like, "You see, they got the towel over their forearm," and she was like, yes."
Yeah.
he thought that he thought that he had really did something and set a standard, and she was like, "Okay."
He
You
do
know,
his homework.
man, so he was upset because she didn't show the level of audacious appreciation for what he had exposed her to, not realizing she had been to hula hands before. She had been, you know what I'm saying? She had had the Cheddar Bay biscuits before, you know, and that's why, you know, when you get into those situations, you got to understand who you're dealing with. But you also have to understand, are you doing this for them? Because the one thing you never want to do is set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm.
Yeah.
You don't, and a lot of people, and I know more stories from women because I was raised by chicks and all of that, but they have a tendency to overextend or exhaust themselves to keep somebody else happy and then be overly disappointed when that person is not as happy as they felt like the investment should have entailed. They didn't ask you for that. That's number first. They didn't ask you for that. You was going too hard. You was doing too much counting. Back to that. You know what I'm saying? And you were doing that selfishly, whether you want to believe it or not. They were going to reap the results of it, but you were going to get the emotional credit for it. And look, my grandma, rest her soul. You knew if you went and got something from my grandma, everybody was gonna hear about it. I had to give him, he had some trouble with, the bill, and so I had to help him pay it. Then they're like, you have money problems? No, why you say that? Granny said she gave you $37 for the water. It's like, dang, Granny. I mean, I appreciate you, but that was something that she felt like she needed to do to let the people know where she was. She was giving back. She was charitable. She was being a good Christian woman. And so you either have to accept it when you go ask Granny, or you just, if you don't want to pay everybody your business, don't ask Granny. It's one of them kind of deals. But people do things inherently because it makes them feel better. It makes them feel more charitable, or they feel like they got, and it's another thing. We can get on a whole subject of this where people feel like you got to give blessings to get blessings. I would need to do more research, but I do not think that that's word for word verbatim in the Bible that you will not get a blessing. You will not get a blessing unless I can show that you've given one. That is not. It is not an exchange program.
You can show. Because technically, they shouldn't even be publishing how much tithes each person gave.
Right, absolutely.
But they do to shame you.
Absolutely. So that's where it is.
So, people pleasing superheroes, I want y'all to know this. I'll look right into the camera. Y'all are selfish.
They are.
You are not saving the world. You're pleasing yourself.
Here's the situation. For all the people pleasers out there, I will only give you credit if you have an itemized order document where people are ordering things for you to please them and you're fulfilling said orders. Because I will tell you this, every people pleaser I've ever met was coming up with their own standards for that person. I did this for you. And then you create a level of venom because you feel like I done gave and I done did, and you didn't reciprocate, or you didn't give me what I did so much for you. And how dare you walk away? Like, I didn't ask you for that. You accepted. Yeah, I thought that's what you was on. You know what I'm saying? Some cultures, it's not proper to deny, gifts and things. Man,
people need to understand, like, a lot of times people will give the homeless coats.
Yeah.
They'll go sell that coat and put their old coat back on. I was good. But since it made you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want a London fog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't like this coat. I don't even work for hers. I'm allergic.
Yeah, I don't want to be out here in North Face. Like, you putting that on me because that makes you feel like I deserve this, that. I could tell the story about my uncle getting him that nice gin, and he cussed me out. I am an alcoholic. Why would you buy me this? Yeah, I was trying to put him on. That was the wrong thing.
On a budget is what he told me.
That's right. That was for me. I was trying to show him where I had been and where I was about. Shame on me.
Hold up. Wait. You mean to tell me there's a tree of religious bullying? That has to be one of the forbidden ones.
All right. Tell me what the hell a religious bully is.
These are people who have converting conversations, and you can't have your own interpretation of your interpersonal relationship with God or your God or whoever you worship to. You got to be on what they on, or else you going to hell. You are going to hell with gasoline draws on because you don't do it the way I interpret these messages in the Bible. You don't do it the way I was raised in my denomination of the Christian faith. And man, I've had conversations with people who don't believe in monthly communion, more than one baptism, divorce. It's so many different small things that don't have anything to do with kingdom building. Like you haven't done everything right in your life, and you get up to the pearly gates, and St. Peter is like, hey, unfortunately, it said that you took too many communion wafers. And it was supposed to be, because there's something in the Bible that says one God, one baptism, right? But the problem is your soul can get stained again and need to be, I believe you may need to feel cleansed again, or you got baptized when you was 11 and you was just doing that because that's what they was doing at the church that weekend. It was
Right.
baptism Sunday, and
Yeah.
all the boys need to be baptized.
It was fashionable. Mhm.
So that kind of stuff, man, is you were bullied as a child, and you
Yeah.
thought and acted as a child. You were bullied into what they thought would be good in case something happened. They want to say you was baptized at the funeral, at your young funeral, right? Don't worry, he was baptized. I don't think God is like, hold up, wait a second. He was 13. Was he baptized? Oh, he can't make it in. Like, I don't think there's a cutoff. That's not in the Bible. But the
To
moral of
me,
the
it's
story,
purely a ceremony.
it is.
Just because I don't walk across the stage don't mean I didn't graduate. I got the grade.
They get into you with this. You have to confess in front of man and God. All this confession. That's taken from the Catholic side. This
I thought
confession.
that
This
was Usher.
confession.
Okay.
Yeah, right. It is, and it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, in both senses. The usher does
The Usher of the
take
church?
yeah, yeah, and Usher.
Yeah.
But the
The two different things, Usher and
right,
Usher.
right. But the reality of it is, you have to respect someone's interpersonal relationship with God. And just because they don't sing in the choir doesn't mean the first shall be last and the last shall be first, meaning there is no line. Because the math don't make sense if that's the case.
Try to get in the middle.
Yeah, right. What is we doing? What is we doing? What is we doing?
Everybody
And
in the middle then.
that's right. Everybody's a thank you. And that's what it's saying. Ultimately, everybody's in the middle. What is we
I just
doing,
want you to
jostling?
break that down
Why
because
is we
people don't
jostling?
understand.
Why is we jostling for positions when it tells you the first shall be last and the last shall be first? It's the same person. That's the same person. It's just one person in line. that's,
You're gonna have to publish this book of sicknesses.
that's one person. Listen to let's not move away from that.
Okay.
If a riddle says
Hmm.
that the first is last and the last is first, how many people are in line? One. It is one person in line.
It's one position in line.
It's one position.
Yeah.
The first is last and the last is first. There is
So,
one
yeah.
spot.
Yeah. Right.
That's not how heaven works. It's a community. It's a community. so so yeah, that's but the bullies will tell you if you don't believe in it the way in which they believe in it or want you or think you should believe in it, then you are damned to have an inferior path to heaven or to go to hell just straight away or
Hmm.
be in purgatory. It's that kind of stuff is very, very hurtful and inhumane to wish that upon a fellow Christian or fellow human being. Is that if you ain't on what I'm on, then you bound and determined to be cursed for eternity. I think that's trash. I think it's trash, and I think we should want to do better and should make an effort to try to be better in that regard.
Hmm.
But to a great degree, we are where we are now, and some of these conditions that we have that have depicted today. Uh, I can tell you this: everybody that's listening to my voice right now knows intimately, maybe a friend to someone that abides by one of those things we just spoke of.
I can't let you get out of here without telling us what programmed is, because we got to talk about that extensively at some point.
And don't even get me started on the tree of good and bad programming. Some fruit rewires your mind for growth, and some just installs viruses.
But what's programmed, or how do you recognize it, or what's an example?
Tell you this. I'm gonna tell you the most practical example that epitomizes programming is I downloaded the Jimmy John's app 2 days ago and was about to order something. It was like, what the hell do I want a cold sandwich? Like it didn't even make sense that I wanted Jimmy John's to make me a cold sandwich with meat on French bread. Like I was really about to order this and go pick it up. And then as I was about to put it all together, the commercial came back on. And I said, oh, they almost got me. They almost got me.
Oh, dang.
They almost got me. And that propaganda, that advertising, this is something that the GOP does. This is something that Nazi Germany did. This programming to make you believe, as Sir Mix-a-Lot said, Cosmo did it. Okay. This idea that at one point in time, we as a monolithic culture was ashamed of big lips and big hips and big butts And then all of a sudden it started to be appropriated. And now people are getting injections and dying over these BBLs and these Botox lips and all. The programming changed. The algorithm changed the programming to where now this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Programming is anything that's outside of what you want to do and what you on that you decide to incorporate to be to not be the tall blade of grass, to not stick out or not be the outlier or the rebel or whatever the case be. You've allowed yourself to be programmed that it's so funny how programming works, because programming will tell you that the most successful people in the world dropped out of college. But then programming will also tell you that without going to college, you can't be successful.
Yeah.
When you talk
can
about
be
the
programmed from
duality,
both ends.
man, the, the most successful people in the world, if I go, and I'm going to look at the research on this and bring it back to this audience. Top 10 most wealthy, financially wealthiest people in the world are divorced, I believe. So what is success? Because success should be balance, peace, tranquility, and happiness. And if you're saying that these are the most successful people, yet they've had instances where they can't maintain balance, peace, tranquility, and love, and love, and love. They can't keep the heart and soul of a woman. They can't make that with all of their at their disposal.
Right.
They
The
still
richest
can't
man
keep
in
a
the
woman
world
happy.
can't.
Man, can't keep a woman happy. Can't keep a woman happy enough.
And we let that define success for us.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
programmed to think that's successful.
Absolutely. 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 That is the worst thing. I've had situations where programming has told women that I've been with that it's okay for a man to have a series of kids if he can afford financially to take care of them financially. Because Future can't take care of, Nick Cannon can't take care of all those kids emotionally.
No.
He's only one Nick Cannon. We're talking back to the bag. We're back to the bag.
Mhm.
You chose to supplement a man being present and active for a man being financially responsible to send a check. That was a horrible thing for you, Mom, to do that, because he showed you who he was as a father.
Right.
He showed you who he was as a businessman, and you chose the business, not the community, not the cultivation of the race, not the cultivation of a good son or daughter. You chose the bag. Then you wonder, wow, this person is now having identity crisis and don't want to go to college and now they don't want to fit into what society has established as a norm, because you created an abnormal situation by having their dad never there for them, except for the bag. So all of this type of programming, and it shifts from time to time. It used to be where you had to be involved in a gang that is a religion. It was something, when you look at the percentage of people that was involved in the Catholic religion or in the Anglican church or whatever, 100, 200 years ago, it was few and far between people that was atheist. Very few, or non-practicing. Now that's become cool. Not being married has become very cool. We were programmed that you can't get insurance, you can't live a life, you can't have kids and raise them comfortably if you're not married to a woman and miserable, or regard, however you was married, you had to have it. That had to be the case. Now we realize, wait a second, I can do this without it. Now you got chicks thinking they can just do it without dudes completely. So this programming is now existing.
Yeah.
And then you get too old, and now you got long in the tooth, and now you 37 and realize, wait a second, I don't want to die alone. I do want to do, man. I've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. You know what I'm saying? We was programmed to believe that black dudes couldn't be quarterbacks, and now almost all the starting quarterbacks are black dudes. Dog, we was programmed to believe it was about the money, until it wasn't. Until they had to prove a point and let you know, hey, I don't need this. I got this and that. All of this, we was programmed to believe that bad guys got their comeuppance. We was programmed to believe that bad guys were black. It must have been a white guy who started all that, right?
Get the gas face, man.
Right, right. And that was a white group.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Just once again, the programming, we can have a series on that of how people have been programmed.
I'm marking it down. We will.
Yeah. So that's the situation there.
Then there's the tree of domestic terror. We don't negotiate with that one. No deals with fear, nor compromise with chaos.
This next one may be mine. I'm not sure,
Okay,
but let me know.
Okay.
Domestic terrorist.
Let me explain to the audience, though. It's yours, but let me explain to the audience why it's yours. I believe that you have an unhealthy and uncomfortable coveting of your personal serenity and your peace. I believe that you inappropriately believe that there's something called the castle doctrine, where a man in his castle should have dominion and can defend it
Mhm.
and all this other stuff. And I believe that you feel like once you come past that threshold, there's a level of decorum, respect, and peace
Mhm.
that is required, unabated, once you walk in. And anybody who would infringe upon that can get it. And I mean unapologetically get it. I think that that's taking it too far because life happens and things happen. But you believe that there are domestic terrorists that are
I think
among
so.
us in that regard. So go ahead and tell the people how that reveals itself in real life.
So if what you do and what you think mostly is for the good of the relationship, then I think that it's a healthy relationship. I think it becomes toxic when you want to actually terrorize the person you sleep next to. And by terrorize, I mean pick at them. Some
Right.
people like to pick at they spouses or they if before they leave for work, they want to say something negative to get them in a bad mood. Or they are doing things with their, let's say their parents or their family that they grew up with or whatever. They're siding with them to do things to actually hurt the person.
Uh-huh.
If that young lady you was talking about, I think on the other episode, if
Uh-huh.
she's good
Uh-huh.
with her man, like some, let's say baby mamas, they will, some of them will try to, if he's too happy,
Uh-huh.
they'll try to do something to make sure he's not exceeding his happiness that they think he should have.
Absolutely.
And some people do that within the household.
Absolutely.
So if you're walking around some women think a man who's not sweating is not working hard.
Yeah.
So if you're walking around looking too peaceful,
Yeah.
and then they like, well, he's not doing enough,
Yeah.
or something's wrong. He's too happy. To me, that's a domestic terrorist.
But I think that what happens in this regard is that comes with the caveat of too much counting in the fact that
Yeah.
in my relationships, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, and then for people I spoke with as well professionally, the times where you have a domestic terrorist is when that person has insecurities and feel as if you're outpacing, outdoing, or outliving them. And they want to bring you back. I've had women tell me, I had to knock you down a peg, or I couldn't let your head get too big. You
Your
should
job should be to blow your head up as big
thank
as
you.
it gets.
Pump me. You should be pumping this.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
she was a terrorist, whoever she was.
Absolutely. So in the idea of your qualification of how big my head is based on how big you believe your head is. It's the situation where got a new car, and then she said, "That's nice. When am I going to get a new car? Whenever you want to get a new car, go get you." But it when you think that we have to always be on the same level, and ironically, it's when I'm on a higher level. It's rare that you have a domestic. Now you can have domestic terrorism when you lost your job and you want to just chill for a second, take this severance check and play some PlayStation. And she's thinking you not making her look good at the nail salon or at work because they're asking, has he got a new job yet? And you like, not yet. You feel like that devalues you. You feel like the greatest man that you could have is a man where all the jobs want him. And if he lose a job, another job is right there to pick. Girl, he wasn't out of work but 2-3 days. We put our house on the market and it sold 2 days later. Everything is wanting of your man except for another
Everything.
woman.
He's the tallest. He know the best karate. Yeah.
Except for another woman, though. Yeah. That's not what you want. You don't want to have a fallout with him and he'd be like, I'm done. And 2 days later, somebody else is there. So it's funny how we want these things to equate. But the reality of it is the terrorism comes from her insecurity or his insecurity, where he said, you shouldn't dress like this. You shouldn't leave the house. You need to be taking care of it. You got he has all these qualifications for you because he's feel insecure about what he's bringing to the table or him being equally yoked with you or being on your level. Once you start rising, that's when the terrorism increases to artificially bring you back down. Hey, I can't let you go too, man, come on now, slow down a little bit. Slow down. And that happens a lot. That's how dudes get the police called up. But it's funny because you'll put yourself in a bad situation long term over a short term anger or a short term situation. You making long term decisions and qualifications, terrorizing not looking at and this is the bad part about terrorism in itself, innocent bystanders. Terrorism is only effective. It's not called terrorism if no innocent bystanders are involved. Think about it. It's called a military strike.
Yeah.
It's only called terrorism when innocent bystanders are involved. The children, the mortgage, the things that didn't have nothing to do. The car. You done broke out his windows and slashed his tire. The other chick, maybe collateral damage. I'll call her that, right? But the terrorism is the fact that you feel like this person is outpacing you or outdoing you or cheating you out of something, and you want to bring them back to a level playing field. That is terroristic. That is you. That is the terrorism that you speak of. And when you have someone that is presenting concepts of domestic terrorism, then you have to ask them why they believe that and if they see it that way, because you can't negotiate with a terrorist. You cannot.
You can't. That's not what they do.
That's
They
not what they do.
terrorize. They don't reason and
That's
negotiate.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we do have a lot, but we'll ask the audience what they want us to talk about.
Absolutely.
Can you, before we end this one though,
Okay.
I want to ask you about one last one.
Okay.
What about this sickness? And I don't know if it's sweeping the country or the world or not, but tell me more about this sickness and give me an example of being arrogant and condescending.
There's a bit of confusion between eating from the tree of insecurity and the tree of being insecure. One strips you down, the other builds you up. Maybe the answer is in the tree of confidence.
So here's the situation. I do not believe it to be a sickness from eating from the tree of confidence.
Okay.
I believe that we are all kings and we are all made in his image. Therefore, if you eat from the tree of self-acceptance and indulgence, then you have a right to present yourself as a living testimony, as the example, as the embodiment. And for those who are inferior or who have insecurities, they will interpret it as being condescending. Here's the situation. It's not called condescending when the person is saying it with a certain tone, but being absolutely wrong factually. That's not called condescension. It's only called condescension when they're making you feel like they're smarter than you because they're factually correct. And it's the way in which they present it, right? That's a feeling. Condescension is a feeling. Arrogance is that you feel like, here's the situation. If an NBA player makes a three-pointer and puts up their hands, that is not arrogant, nor is it appropriate because you're an NBA player. You should be able to make a three-pointer, right? So it's all in the eye of the beholder. If Steph Curry, who's mathematically and non-arguably the greatest shooter of a basketball that we've ever known, shoots a shot and because of practice hours, because of ability, because of anointment, because of multiple reasons, shoots a shot and turns around and starts walking back down court before it even goes into the basket. They call that arrogant. I call that preparedness. Call that routine. I call that appropriate because that's what he does.
You're supposed to get back on defense.
Man, if you get up from your chair and walk step over step to the kitchen, that's not arrogance. That's not arrogant. Now, if your legs have been amputated, and there's a level of delusion that you can do this, that is arrogance.
Right.
I think that these things, and it's semantics at this point, but when you eat from the tree of confidence, then you embody all the things that you believe about yourself because of the work you've put in. I do believe you talked about eating from the tree of delusion earlier, that when you haven't done the work and you just assume that because you woke up this way, it's supposed to work out for you. And then you curse the world because your ship hasn't come in or it hasn't worked out. That was delusional. What made you? Who told you that? Who told you this was supposed to be in your favor? Why did you believe such? And when you don't have an answer, that should let you know that was delusion. That was what happened there. So in the idea of you're challenging the depiction that I've had this depicted upon me or thrust upon me proudly for years, that I am I have a level of conceit or arrogance that is associated with the way in which I present myself, is because I've ate abundantly from the tree of confidence. I am fully nourished and fortified from the tree of confidence.
Tree, I don't think.
No, not at all. Not at all. If it was, it shouldn't have been right outside my window.
It was in the
garden. I wake up and pluck it out. I wake up and just lift the window and pluck them out.
People forget that. It was a bunch of other trees that we could eat from.
That's absolutely correct.
The tree of confidence, the tree of kindness, the tree of helping others. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely. I chose my tree.
yeah. All right, man. You got any final thoughts?
No, man. Is there anything else that we need to unpack for the people? Any other trees that we need to transverse in the future before we ask them to give us some trees that we need to speak on?
Not yet. No,
Okay.
we'll let them
Okay.
decide what else we need to expound on. But I think these are some good trees that we can unpack even more in future episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got an orchard. So we'll be fine.
So which tree should we go deeper into? Drop it in the comments. Should we explore the tree of depreciation, the tree of wanting too much, the tree of effort, the tree of prioritizing, the tree of high standards, or the tree of manipulation? Or one of the others we talked about here? Just let us know and we will give our hollow points. Oh, you welcome.
This concludes another episode of the Hollow Points Podcast, where we act as your therapeutic outlet on topics many think about but are afraid to speak on.